Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We are back with a special episode today, which is coming out not on Christmas, unfortunately, but I mean, it's not on a Thursday this year. Maybe next year, we'll see. But it is currently Christmas for me right now, where, as I sit here and record this. So Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you had or will be having a great time with your family and friends and whoever else you might be celebrating Christmas with. And we've got kind of a special episode today for a few reasons. I guess the first reason being that this is going to be the Lackey Grand Prix finals game, Lackey Grand Prix 18 finals game, I should say. It's going to be between Chad, Frantz, and myself. And as you can see, we got a pretty special deck cooked up for that, and it makes for an interesting game. And I guess as sort of a bonus, because one, I think this deck is kind of fun, and I wanted to display it a little more. I guess we're gonna have a bonus game afterwards between myself and Tyler, and that was just a fun game that we played. I was like, hey, I've got this new deck that's kind of wild, and I played it against Chad for the finals, and I also I want to try it out in a video with you too. And he had a new deck that he's been playing, and he was kind of excited to show. And full disclosure, we might not get to see a lot of his deck, just because of what this deck is trying to do. So I wanted to highlight that a little bit as well. So there's actually going to be a third game, but that game is going to be coming out next week. That was a different game another game that I played against Tyler with a different deck. That was actually the deck that I used in the last round of the Swiss pairings, or Swiss event or portion, I guess, of Lackey Grand Prix 18 against Joe Schaefer. And if you remember that game, the deck that I was using, I didn't even have it shown in the video, really. It was just whatever you saw during the gameplay. I showed Joe's 150 card Pride of Lions deck instead, because that deck was kind of more of the highlight of that video. But in the game that I used it against Tyler, it was a little more of a matchup where you might actually expect that deck to do something. And so that game is a little more exciting. It's actually a pretty long game, which is part of why I'm saving it for a separate video next week. I might say during the video that I was going to put them all together in the one for kind of a special Christmas thing, but just the way that the timing worked out and stuff, and for editing purposes, getting it all done today on Christmas, as I'm kind of behind schedule a little bit and getting things done, I just thought it would be simpler to save that for next week, because it's going to be kind of a busy week for me between Christmas and New Year's here. So all that said, we've got 2 games for you guys for this video, and we're going to be using this crazy deck that I'm going to explain in a little bit. But another thing that makes this video special is that I have the opportunity to open my cards for the Christmas card swap here on Christmas Day for me. It's shortly after for you. So we're going to go ahead and open those up. I did block out who my person was, because I don't want to give them away or give away their address, of course, either. But this was what I was sent. It's still sealed here. I was waiting to open it. I got it a few days ago. So I also have to apologize to the person that I sent my cards to, because, all right, we're using scissors here, because I got them out a little late, and I think they're coming the day after Christmas, which coincidentally is the day that this video is going to be released. So, I mean, hopefully you've gotten your cards by now, but that's just how I do things sometimes. So here we go. I'm going to be opening my cards here. Oh, well, that kind of gives it away. I'm not. They put a little note in there that I will. I don't know if I want to show it on the video to give things away, but yeah, I will definitely get to that note. Appreciate sending that. So here is the pack of cards sent. Eve's Descendant, Throne of David, Moses' Staff, Phineas the Zealous is the rare that you get. Oh, I guess Throne of David is a rare as well, and Protection of Angels. It's kind of like opening a little variety pack, kind of like the Your Turn Games display box mix and match, which we'll get to them later in the video for the actual sponsor part. But nice little double rare kind of pack of 5 cards. So thank you for the person who sent these to me for the Christmas card swap. You know who you are, and I'm really glad. Shout out to John Hendricks for putting all of this together for the card swap each and every year. I think we had 80 people participating this year, which is awesome. Thank you to Andy at Your Turn Games for helping to sponsor that with all the gifts and prizes that you contributed. And I know there were others that did so as well, like Chris Hill with his tokens, and some others out there that had like playtest sets for Persecuted Church, stuff like that. If you want any more information about the card swap, you're too late to participate this year, but you can look forward to it next year, and you can check out Land of Redemption for the article on that with all the stuff that was given out. John did a whole video with the prizes and all that. So anyways, let's get back to the deck here, and let's talk about what craziness we're trying to do with all of this nonsense here, because you might be thinking, hey Jaden, where's your defense? And well, it's all in reserve. See, I have some in here. It's not going to be very the hope is that it's not going to be needed or be used at all. I actually don't have that many ways to get cards out of the reserve. Mostly it's just a few ways to like get good enhancements, and then if I get to Covenant of Philistia or Covenant of Prayer, I can maybe get to some of my ways to block. But the goal is to not have to block, because in the ideal case, we'll be winning on turn 1, which yes, it is possible, and it's even with under the current rules of 4 activation limits and stuff like that. The way you can do it is with Disciples of the Lamb. You have to be making a rescue attempt. It has to be used by a disciple. You have to control 12 good disciples, and which good disciples is redundant now because disciple is a good identifier. But anyway, and then you can search deck, discard pile, or reserve for a Lamb icon card. So you also need to have Son of God, and ideally have played it. You don't necessarily need to actually in this version of the deck, because this is 100 cards. And the way we're actually going to be winning on turn 1 is with Disciples of the Lamb, recurring Son of God, so we can play it once naturally. Disciples of the Lamb can recur it once, play it again. Lost Child Found can bounce up to 3 other cards, which can bounce Disciples of the Lamb. You can play it a third time, or play Disciples of the Lamb a second time, so that you get Son of God a third time. Then you can play either the second copy of Lost Child Found, which is why you don't have to have Son of God in hand, or you don't have to have played it first with Disciples of the Lamb. You could just go get it from deck and then have another Lost Child Found to bounce the other Lost Child Found and Disciples of the Lamb, so you can play both of them again. And then you play Son of God a 4th time, or you can just use Second Coming to play it the 4th time. So technically you don't need both copies of Lost Child Found. You can do just Disciples of the Lamb, Lost Child Found, and then Son of God and Second Coming to get 4 activations or 4 opportunities to play Son of God. However, the 100 card version I thought just kind of made it a little more consistent, or having a little more of a backup plan, or kind of a contingency. That's the word I was looking for. So contingency plan where you have a little bit more prepared for it. I did have a 50 card version of the deck built, and it just felt like it didn't quite have the resilience that I wanted it to have, because it's pretty much the only game plan that this deck has going on for it. So you definitely need to have all the pieces and ways to get to those pieces and ways to recur those pieces if your opponent happens to get rid of them, things like that. So that is what we're going to be trying to do with this deck. Now, how do we get all of this on turn 1? Well, what do we actually need? We need all 12 of these disciples. Actually, Judas is in here as well. So we need 12 out of the 13 at least, and we need them in play. And we need to get to Disciples of the Lamb. We need to be able to bounce it, and then we need to get to Son of God and Second Coming. And all of this, of course, only ends up with only giving us 4 lost souls, because there is a 4 activations limit even on a card such as Son of God, 4 activations per turn. So if you want to win on turn 1, you can't play Son of God the 5th time. However, you could recur it for the 5th Lost Soul and then just win on your opponent's draw phase, but that's not as exciting if you just play Eternal Inheritance while you are in this battle that you do have to be rescuing for. It is during your rescue attempt. If you play Eternal Inheritance, then you can just rescue the 5th Lost Soul that way. So that means that we also have to be rescuing and have a Covenant active, which we have a few of those. So how do we actually pull this off? What we need is a lot of initiative. And there's a little bit of a story to this deck, or kind of some background, I guess, for you, is one part of it is after I posted the Rapshka's Arrogance video, where I was just trying to get initiative, or basically infinite initiative on defense, to just play a bunch of enhancements, do a lot of damage to my opponent, and then just hopefully be able to coast in with the little offense that was in the deck. And Brian reached out to me, Brian Jones. He was like, hey man, like, have you considered trying to do the same sort of thing on offense with, good enhancements and heroes instead? And my initial response was like, well, I feel like there's not as much damage that you can actually do. Like, offense doesn't have quite as much hand control, doesn't have quite as many mill effects, doesn't have, ways to, hurt the opponent as badly as defense can do. And for good reason, because, offense is easier to play, and, generally you just want to be rescuing lost souls, and there has to be limitations on how well you can do that. And that is why, a card like Disciples of the Lamb is very difficult to pull off and get all of the pieces together. However, after saying that to Brian, I, a little bit later, it was probably a week or two later, that I was considering like, okay, maybe this actually could work, and you can, play all of these enhancements, but you need to figure out a way to actually be able to play all of them, which is trickier on offense because you don't have stocks of flax. You can pretty much only use tribute to set up like a character that's protected on their end. But if you do actually play all these enhancements, instead of trying to kind of injure your opponent, so to speak, or like do something negative to their deck or their play goals or whatever, why don't you just try to win the game? It's possible, so let's try to do it. So it was a couple years back, I think, that it was first realized or kind of thrown out there that Disciples of the Lamb could be comboed with Lost Child Found. So I think it was shortly after GOC actually came out, or Lost Child Found came out, and that actually kind of goes back even further to when Disciples of the Lamb came out in Revelation of John, and people made a Book of Jeshar Disciples of the Lamb combo deck, particularly in Type 2, where Book of Jeshar is this old classic blue enhancement. It doesn't have any numbers, but it becomes a copy of the enhancement that you previously played. Kind of a cool effect, and I think it would be cool to play around with some of that stuff in rotation. But anyways, what you could do in Type 2 is use 4 copies of Book of Jeshar, and then if you were able to get all of them, get all of your disciples, you could go from 0 to 7 in one turn. This was before the 4 activations rule. You cannot do it currently. So you'd, at least go from 0 to 7 in one turn. You can do 0 to 4, or maybe like 3 to 7 is maybe the best way, where like you play Son of God and Second Coming on your opponent's turn right before you combo off. Maybe you've already I guess you can do Son of God Second Coming on your opponent's turn before you do the combo. You attack, you play Disciples of the Lamb to get Son of God back, and then you play 3 copies of Book of Jeshar to copy Disciples of the Lamb. You can play Son of God 4 more times, and the last copy of Book of Jeshar copies Disciples of the Lamb, puts Son of God back in your hand, and then you can win your opponent's draw phase. That's the 0 to 7, and essentially 1 and 2 halves turns, or 1 turn and 2 phases. But anyways, this is similar to that, but then Lost Child Found was kind of the replacement for it, where you can just bounce up to 3 other cards, and you can, including Disciples of the Lamb. And this was brought up by Noah, I believe, in the Zerubbabel's Temples Discord, which it's hard to believe that that's actually 2 years old now. But anyways, he kind of threw that out there, and I don't know if he actually built a deck around it or not. And frankly, I hadn't even remembered that he did that until after the game with Chad, and he was like, oh yeah, I remember like Noah bringing that up, and then it just kind of like sparked in my mind like, oh yeah, that That is, I forgot that he had brought that up because I kind of stumbled upon it as I was building this deck, because originally I was building this deck in a much more convoluted win condition sort of way, where I was going to use Disciples of Lamb, I was planning to use Eternal Inheritance, but the third, you got Son of God, Second Coming, Disciples of the Lamb, Eternal Inheritance, that's 4. The fifth Lost Soul, or I guess it would have been the fourth, because you have to do the fourth one before Eternal Inheritance. You want that to be the last. But the fourth Lost Soul I was going to do by creating a side battle and doing the Mimicking Miracles combo in the side battle to mill my opponent out. And then the last Mimicking Miracles would copy the Exodus, which I would have played in the main battle before the creating the side battle. So that way it was in play and it was copyable by Mimicking Miracles. So I'd have to basically have enough pieces to be able to mill my opponent down to 10 or fewer cards in their deck, put the Exodus in the main battle, and then copy it with Mimicking Miracles in the side battle in the fourth use, because I'd probably be using the other uses to bounce my mill evil enhancements. And it wouldn't have been terribly difficult to set up once I actually got the infinite initiative part of the offense going. But I mean, that's really the kind of trickiest part to do. And the way that I currently have the deck built, it relies a little bit too heavily on your opponent. But anyways, as I was putting all that together, I was like, oh, Lost Child Found would be a decent card to... Oh wait. Because not only can it bounce some of your acceleration pieces, like your drawing stuff, like if you play... Spirit as a Dove, then you play Generous Giving, you search for something, you draw 3, then you play Lost Child Found. Maybe you play both copies of Generous Giving, you play Lost Child Found, you can bounce all 3 of those. And I was like, oh, that seems pretty good to just kind of recycle some of the pieces and the right tutors that you need. And then I was like, wait a second, Lost Child Found can just bounce Disciples of the Lamb. I don't need any of the side battles stuff. I don't need any, the defense really. And so I ended up getting rid of pretty much everything. I had Emperor Claudius and Denarius in here still, because I was like, oh, having Denarius is still nice for kind of that acceleration, help to get things rolling. Simon of Cyrene can activate it. And even then I was like, you know what? I don't think we need it. I think we just go all in on the enhancements and trying to get the setup of the infinite initiative sort of thing. And because Tribute is basically the only way to give your opponent an evil character that will give infinite initiative, you can, I guess there's the other caveat of if you can give your opponent a King of Tyrus, you could try to do it with OT heroes instead. And it's fairly easy to give your opponent a King of Tyrus because he's a Canaanite, and with all the other, Canaanite stuff, that wouldn't be terribly difficult, but choosing... or I guess getting all of this together with Old Testament heroes that King of Tyrus would actually be protected from would be a little bit more difficult. At least you have to have at least one disciple in the battle. So I'd probably do Simon to choose King of Tyrus, and then ban to David to do all the other stuff like Song of Moses, and I think that's possible, and that's a very valid way of trying to build this deck, and maybe that would be a better way of trying to do it because you can get a more consistent means of getting your King of Tyrus over to your opponent. But it is a little bit difficult otherwise. If you want to do this with New Testament, it's going to be more of a challenge. So the way that I'm actually trying to do this is depending on my opponent having either Foreign Wives, Herod Agrippa I, or Emperor Claudius in their main deck, and or Red Dragon is another option. So it's a little bit dependent on that, but I think more people are playing Foreign Wives in their main deck. And for this game in particular, I was like, you know what? I bet Chad is playing Foreign Wives in the main deck, and if not, he's probably at least playing Emperor Claudius or Herod Agrippa I. I think that I could get there if. Depending on what he was playing. I was kind of hoping that he would be playing something like his Starstruck deck, which also wants to do something really big on turn 1, but kind of needs needs that opportunity or that momentum to to flow, and it's kind of an all-in on that strategy. And then I was hoping that I'd be able to go first, which is definitely going to make things easier for this deck than your opponent being able to have more interaction. But that we'll see how that goes in the game here. But anyways, so once we actually get our opponents get into that situation with the infinite initiative, which I have ways to do if my opponent doesn't have foreign wives block right away. But the goal is to Matthew on turn one, and just if your opponent isn't expecting what you're trying to do, then foreign wives is going to be a fairly natural go-to block for them. But the ways that we have this, or the other ways to be able to set this up, I guess, are through 2 copies of David's Prayer, 1 copy of Moshi, which could be 2 copies here if I could figure out another slot for it. But I don't have as many white heroes. I've got 5, I guess technically 6 if you count Justice Seekers. So it's a little bit more difficult to play this before battle in your prep phase, but I wanted to have at least 1 copy there because there are actually a decent number of ways, or like it's actually not that difficult to get to Moshi and everything, or like to play your opponent's foreign wives or whichever character you're going to be choosing before you actually, like I guess during the battle, before after they've already blocked with a different character. You just have to have a certain amount of initiative. So let's say that I attack with Matthew, and if I don't convert him to Meek, that's going to be easier to play something like David's Prayer. But if they block with something big, or maybe they block with an Emperor Nero or something like that, then Matthew can play Battle Prayer to go and get David's Prayer. I can start playing other drawing stuff. I can play, Sent 2x2 to get Simon out. And then the dominants are going to be kind of key here. So the cards like Second Coming, Resurrection, Crowd's Choice, and Awesome Things are going to be able to help set up the actual, getting initiative when you don't really have it. So if you play something like, if I just have David's Prayer, I guess, then Matthew can play David's Prayer and play, the foreign wives from their deck, and then you could either play the Resurrection to add Simon, or you can go find Joseph and then choose foreign wives that way. Otherwise, you might have to draw into it or search for some of the pieces, or band to David, who can then convert to Meek to find Moshi or find Awesome Things, and then you can use Awesome Things to play Moshi and things like that. So it's not as difficult as you might expect to set that up if your opponent has foreign wives or a similar character in their deck. And if I was playing a 50-card version of this deck, I would probably try to fit Tribute and foreign wives or something in the main deck to try to actually get that part of it on turn 1. However, I just don't know if the resilience is quite there. Like if your opponent has any form of disruption, a way to get rid of some of your pieces, then you're even just delivered off the top of the deck that hits one of the pieces like Eternal Inheritance or something. It's going to be harder to fit all the ways to get it back, which is really not very many wild oxes in here to do that. So anyways, once we have all of that together, it's just a matter of getting the disciples out and making sure my opponent doesn't have something to play to interact, which cards like Vain Philosophy can help with that, to see what they have in hand. I also have Behold. I want to see what they can what they could possibly do before I start doing stuff and then end up giving them initiative, or if they have dominance to interact, then that's also a downside. But I can't play stuff like Cross and Complacent because I want to play my own dominance, my Son of God, that kind of thing. Play Harvest Time to make sure that I actually have 5 Lost Souls to be able to rescue. There's also Harvest and Lost Souls in here to do that as well. However, if I do have to choose the blocker with Simon, then that means I'm going to be negating Lost Souls, which is another reason why Joseph is in here, to get another option to choose without having to actually, without having to negate my Lost Souls as well. There is one thing that is different from this deck versus when or this version of it than when I was playing with Chad, which is that there is an extra copy of Resurrection Revealer in here. And I believe I took out, I had a second copy of Prosperity or Reach. I can't remember which one I actually kept in here, because there's benefits to having both, because one is New Testament, you get the Interrupt and Play Next, and one doesn't have any numbers, and also the top deck can come in handy if you have like too many cards in hand that you can't put down, which generally isn't really a problem with this deck. But there are some cards like like some of the artifacts or sites that I might want back in my deck for some reason, so I can bring them out, or just want them to not clog up my hand, and then I can use the search ability to put them back in the deck. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, I think I had one extra copy of one of these out. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but I put in an extra copy of Res Revealer because, for one, having both copies to be able to search for my good gospel dominance. So searching for Crowd's Choice is kind of the big one, but also Son of God and Resurrection and Harvest Time if I need it. Having an extra opportunity for that is great. And then also just having another Gospel Angel to be able to negate my opponent's neutral cards to, for their lost souls that are going to kind of disrupt my my stuff going on. Then I just thought that having two copies there made more sense for this deck, and you probably see a little bit more of why during the game with Chad. And Angel of Warning is the other Gospel Angel I have in here, because once we actually get that infinite initiative, we need to be able to play all of the enhancements, and Angel of Warning can, one, get some information from my opponent's hand, and then also play out this New Jerusalem Bride of Christ, which I can then add to battle, convert to a hero, and then have Rainbow Brigades there. I also have Noah, who can do that as well, so if I have a way to band him into battle, then I have access to all the brigades, and mostly it's just going to be Clay and Purple that are the big ones that I need, but those will be pretty easy to get in, because I just need to band in a Meek Disciple and a non-Meek Disciple, and then I have both of those colors. But there's also some reason to have silver, or some opportunities, I guess, to have silver in there if I band in a Res Revealer or an Angel of Warning, or some of these exchanging angels and don't exchange for some reason. Then I can have like the Child is Born, and then I guess that also works on the white heroes. So pretty much the only enhancement that's going to be like more difficult to play would be like Obedient to Joseph, which I'm conflicted on whether it's actually necessary. But the main reason I want it in here is because if, let's say, my opponent does have some way to interact, say they have a scattered sheep or something, or a scattered, and I've already got a decent number of heroes in battle. Hopefully I'll have put down a Sent 2x2. Hopefully I'll know that they have it, so that I can kind of prepare for when they decide to play it. But if I have something like Sent 2x2 or Good Seed, wherever that is there, if I have one of those in play, then I'll be able to keep the battle going, or add to the battle. I guess Ride On Victoriously can help with that as well. So as long as whatever they play keeps their evil character in battle, then I can use these add to battle cards. But that means that any disciples that I have had in the battle need to be back in play, but I can't add them to battle again because they're all unique. So if I don't have Song of Moses to put them directly into play, then if I just have ways to search for them or draw them, then something like Obedient to Joseph played at the end can just put them all into play. It can also help get out some of the characters that I can't add to battle for other reasons, like Angel of the Winds, Victorious Being, and Reassuring Angels. They're all unique. So once I use them once, I can't use any of the other versions of them or copies of them, or I can't have the same copies to battle. So things like that. Also just another way to see what my opponent has. And it was a little bit more of a thing when I had some defense in here and I wanted to get my evil characters in play. Needed a way to do that. But I thought that keeping at least one copy was reasonable enough, just for kind of those edge cases where it might be needed. Speaking of edge cases, if my opponent is able to get rid of some of my pieces like Disciples of Lamb or Eternal Inheritance, I do have Wild Ox to get either of them back. And that was another reason why the 100 with Lost Child Found is nice, because then I can also bounce Wild Ox to get one or more of them back. And Battle Prayer can get Wild Ox back, and thought there was maybe one other card that could help recur some stuff. That only goes to deck or reserve. But anyway, that's kind of the main thing, is like Battle Prayer. Having 2 copies of that I thought was kind of nice to have more ways to get to David's Prayer, and then also ways to recur Wild Ox if I did need to. Generally, that's not going to be necessary, but if your opponent hits a Lucky Delivered or something off the opening 8 and hits one of those pieces, then you're going to need it. So that is the deck. We've got kind of our categories of cards here, where we've got tutors over here on the left. This is how we're going to be getting most of the heroes out, with cards like Song of Moses, and searching for some of them, also banding to the tutor angels and such like that. Sent 2x2, we've got 2 copies of that, and so that gets out 4 disciples. And then these also are in the kind of banding / add to battle column, which are the easiest way to get more of the disciples into play. Then we've got a bunch of drawings drawing cards here. There's actually fewer than I anticipated needing or wanting. But because of you have so much banding, and there's lots of drawing and just card advantage stuff on the heroes that you're going to be getting, then I didn't think you needed too many of the enhancements. And then here are kind of the setup ways to get the Foreign Wives, or whoever else into play. Obedient to Joseph can also achieve that. If your opponent has Foreign Wives in hand and they didn't block with it, then Obedient to Joseph can help you get there. However, figuring out a way to play it without passing initiative with whoever else they're doing is kind of the trickier part. You need to get one of your rainbow heroes into battle, and then have something to play next, like maybe Awesome Things to play Generous Giving that can then play Obedient to Joseph, or Awesome Things to play it right on Noah is works because he's meek. But so those are kind of the additional pieces to the win cons, I guess. Maybe they should be in this column. And then over here are the win cons, where we've got Disciples of the Lamb, Eternal Inheritance, Lost Child Found, and the reserve. Just kind of a mishmash of stuff that I put together. It's like, okay, if the game goes on longer, which it probably will in most cases, like I don't expect this to work in even 50% of games. However, if you do get the pieces to actually choose, and your opponent doesn't have anything, like if you get to a situation where it's a stalemate, like your opponent is protected, then it's pretty solidly guaranteed that you're going to get there if your opponent doesn't have like a dominant or something to interact. So I'll say like actually getting it set up, maybe 50%, but once you get set up, actually pulling it off by playing all the enhancements and getting the pieces together, I would say that's like in my gold fishing, that was pretty close to 100%. Like it pretty much always had enough fuel to go and get all of the disciples into play, and get all of the pieces that you need. Song of Moses does great with that, where you can just get Woman with Child, you can get Simon of Cyrene to activate 4 drachma coin on Peter, and you get a bunch of disciples, and it's David to search for Solomon's Dream. You can then play Solomon's Dream to search for a good card, and then you also get to draw 3 because a lot of your disciples are going to be meek. So there's just so many ways to get to the things once you're all set up that it's going to be pretty easy to actually pull this off. So all that said, that was a pretty long intro, but it is a pretty big and kind of significant deck that I can't say I necessarily recommend playing, but it is probably more fun to play than, or at least for your opponent, than the Rapshka's Arrogance deck, because with Rapshka's Arrogance, you still need to go on and then win the game after you do all the combo stuff. With this one, you just get to play Solitaire for 10 minutes or whatever, and then you've won the game there, and you can start over. So it's maybe not as fun it's still not as fun for your opponent as like an actual regular match or like game where it's a little more back and forth, but at least your opponent's not sitting there for like having to go through the motions of taking the turns and stuff where they're not really doing anything. And so anyways, this is the I don't know if we want to call it like what Matthew's Arrogance or something, like it's the good version of Rapshka's Arrogance, where you're actually, instead of just disrupting, you're just trying to win the game. And there were a couple of reasons I decided to play it against Chad. For one, I still felt a little bad about the win against Josh, where it wasn't quite legitimate. We called the game early, basically, while it was 4-4 because of I mistakenly put a dominant into my Land of Redemption Second Coming, and neither of us noticed. So it was actually 4-4 when we ended that game, where we thought that I won 5-4, and with the loss that Josh took in round 4, that meant that he was not in top cut, and I felt a little bit bad about that. So I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I should necessarily deserve to win this Lackey Grand Prix unless I do it with something as crazy as this. And then I was like, you know, if I actually pull this off in the Lackey Grand Prix finals against Chad, then, you know, I'll be happy with that, I guess. I think that the odds of me actually pulling it off were pretty slim, but I did want to give it a chance, and I was like, okay, if this actually works, this is going to be cool. And I think that Chad might be, you know, have the kind of deck that could actually work against, and so yeah, we'll see if that is actually the case in the game here. But before we get into it, we got to do a shout out. We kind of already shouted out Your Turn Games a little bit as a sponsor of this channel, because they also sponsor the Christmas card swap, because they're just that great of people, Andy and Kelsey over there. So shout out to them over at Your Turn Games. If you have any late Christmas gifts to pick up, or maybe you won some gift cards from recent contests or something, you can head on over to Your Turn Games, give them your love and support by buying some singles and some pre-built decks. I do have some new contender decks in the works, so I'm just going to throw that out there, that those should be available soon, but those are going to be using some of the Israel's Inheritance themes, and those should be fun. Might be similar to some of the decks that you've seen on the channel here, but kind of more budget-friendly versions. So head on over to Your Turn Games and pick up your redemption supply needs. And with that, I'm going to just give a little bit of a warning, I guess. Like, the second game that I do play with Tyler is probably going to be a little abrupt in the transitions between and at the end, because it wasn't really something that I was anticipating. And so with Tyler, since I'm cutting those into 2 videos, we don't really like sign off or anything. So it might be a little bit of an abrupt ending, but it's all right. Here we are. Anyways, that is going to be it for the intro here. Let's get into the game. Merry Christmas, everybody. All right. Time to win a die roll here. Oh boy. We got a 3. Oh! Sad day. Super sad. That was the dream. That was all right. There's still a chance. We can still get there, maybe. Maybe he'll choose me to go first. No, okay. He's going first. All right. He's going to see what we got going on, maybe? Or is he going to go to his own deck? No, okay. He's going to go to mine. I think we just go get crowds right away with the Ascension. Make him work a little harder. We can go Bless the Nations. Find something. Man, I really want to know what he's thinking right now. So yeah, that's part of the problem, is that even if I did go first, he'd still get to see what I had going on. Although maybe if I was going first, he would have played a Lost Soul from his own deck. Okay, goes with Prosperity. Not the worst. I mean, I guess I don't know what else he could have gone that would have been worse than that, but I'll do my deck with Ascension. I think we just get crowds. We could get orphans as well, just set up for next turn, but I think crowds is better. Yeah. Oops. I should actually. And we'll look at the VL2 owner, bottom 6, right? Yeah. Okay. Probably just get Spirit as a Dove, right? Yeah. Send those to the bottom. Put that on top. So we're not going to be blocking, which means that he's hopefully not going to get to play any enhancements to get value. So he's got to get everything on this attack. I actually kind of like that he played Prosperity for my deck, because that means that I'm going to have a Lost Soul to give him. That's not crowds. If he didn't have that, though, I probably would I have gotten crowds still? I might have just played one from his deck. See what he was going on. Going to battle right away. Okay. I don't mind that. We'll just give him the Prosperity. Okay. That was good. I'm hoping that maybe the crowds held him off or something. Held him off from like Matthew. And that was a less optimal thing. Ascension on his deck might have been nice to play, or like to see if he had Foreign Wives in his deck, or if he maybe had Deceiver to go and get it. Like seeing kind of what he had. Strange that he went right to attack. Like his hand must not have been that great. Oh, okay. Is he on Soul Surfer? I'm trying to think of what other decks play Harvest Time. Does he use it in Starstruck? I don't know. I mean, 5 souls, he's going to give me something that's useful. Sure. Maybe he just wants more time to look at my deck. Figure out what's going on with this plot, or with this 100-card monstrosity. It's like, wait, there's no Pride of Lions? What's going on? Okay, sure. Let's see. Which ones actually don't do anything? Pretty much all of them are put in play or ongoing abilities. As far as we have Joseph, so if we draw Moshi, we can get Foreign Wives out right away. But then we can't draw before battle. So Joseph can play Covenant with David to go get he did get orphans. Oh, that's probably not a good sign though. It probably means he actually has like normal blocks that he's expecting, or he's just gonna get Son of God or something to. Ooh, yeah, we're gonna need a woes for that Complacent. And he's got Salty. Oh man. You know, that's probably okay. You're telling me we're gonna have to get Res Revealer out pretty quick. Accusers, I don't really care. Okay, so it is Soul Surfer. Oh, so Disoriented. Is he gonna negate my orphans? Oh. That's rude. Maybe he's gonna negate crowds. I don't know. He did negate crowds. Okay. That's probably. Oh, that's interesting. Did he draw Harvest Time off the 1 and Lazarus? Like, as if he. I don't know. All right, so we'll create. I'll grab that one. Let's see. Do I have? Oh. That's it. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have to be very considerate on what to do with this 3 woes. I guess we're just gonna have to woes the crowds and then deal with Complacent later. Yeah. Because otherwise I could woes the Salty, and then if I woes the Salty and play Spirit as a Dove, I think that doesn't do enough for me. Yeah. I think we just gotta woes crowds and then hope he goes for it. Maybe I should have played it as evil. Yeah. Put down James as Meek. Put down Joseph. Oh man, I'm So curious to see what he's got in his hands. All right, here we go. Let's go find a Matthew. Man, having the woes was clutch. Did I use the right peak? Ooh, okay. None of these are great. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He doesn't have foreign wives. Man. Oh, and he's got an outsiders too. It doesn't have Herod's Temple. Pudiating. Alright. Well, he's got an abandonment. Alright. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts so much. That complacent hurts. That's rough. So the nice part is we got to bless the nations that we can toss. Although right now it's only 3. So I guess that's not great. I mean, we can toss him down. Guess he's not choosing any of my other heroes to attack. He just had abandonment. Okay, so I just have to, I'm a 4/6. I have to toss him down 6. Man, it's sad that Bless the Nations is only 3. So if I toss him down 7, he'll be a 5. 5/3. If I toss him down for 6, he'll still be beating Matthew. So maybe we just, yeah. Not prepared for the fact that I have like 40 billion good enhancements in this deck. Alright, so we got the token. Okay, now I've got 10 in hand. I don't even know which Lost Soul I want to get rid of here. I mean, I guess I could just play that and then playing Resurrection and Crowd's Choice to get out my Resurrection Revealer feels pretty bad. So what if he just has an answer for it right away? But it's either that or discard cards, so yeah. I think we just do it. I don't think he had any way to disrupt it, right? Did he? I don't know. The sad part is that if he just doesn't block me the rest of the game, then I'm kind of toast. Maybe I just wait. Maybe I just put down Covenant with David and wait. Yeah. Because I'd rather get it on his turn before he has, like, time to interact. Because, like, I could also just draw into Angel of Warning on my turn. That's definitely a thing. If he goes with Matthew, he gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. That's kind of annoying. This is bad. We just give him that one, I guess. The fact that he didn't have a way to like get to Matthew or something is good. Because I mean, like, I could maybe win the race here. I don't know. Man, I wish I would have played my woes as good now. Okay, but I don't really need to negate crowds anymore. So, okay, so he discards Day of Judgment. Oh, he's just discarding brigades from his hand. I don't really care about drawing anymore, though. Do I have any heroes in my discard pile? No. Okay, so my woes can be on his salty. No, because possessing spirit will still negate cards in my territory. Do I have anything that can deal with possessing spirit while it's in my territory? And he's just gonna Herod's Temple, and then yeah, let's just do Temple. All right, let's see what we can get here. The unfortunate part is that David's prayer is going to be negated. So really, like, I kind of feel like maybe awesome things, so that if he decides not to block, then I have that option. Let's just verify that I don't have any ways to deal with possessing spirit. Oh, I have harvest time, which could play my disoriented. Okay, but I still don't have. I still don't have another gospel angel. So let's just get. I can't play that during battle though because of complacent. No, there's so many problems. All right, let's get harvest time. Let's just go with 6. Man, yeah, that's an awkward draw for him. So his woes is in there. He's got an orphans too. He's not playing foreign wives in Maine. Let's hope it's in reserve. I want it. He's got Herod Agrippa though, so we could do that. Okay. And for mine, we need disoriented. We need we need all the drawing we can get. Let's get a wanderer. That should be helpful. And then let's see. I gave him 2. How many do I have left in here? Is it both look at hand ones? Guess we'll just grab a hunter and escape. I suppose I maybe should have done. I maybe should have just waited on declaring a possessing or a disoriented target. All right. I don't really care about reverence and awe. And then I don't really care about. Do I care about double entertaining angels? Let's send a bottom. Well, let's just send Thaddeus to bottom. Yeah. He is the smaller of my meek dudes, though. Should be kind of nice, but all right. Didn't really find anything useful, sadly. All right. Let's do this first. Oh yeah, grabbing salty doesn't do anything. Grabbing crowds doesn't do anything. All right. Well, that's good enough. It's like, oh yeah, that salty won't help me. if it's over here. Yeah, possessing was unfortunate. Oh, do I don't get initiative there, do I? He's got duplicity, so he can just trigger Joseph. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, he's gonna get initiative there. I shouldn't have bounced Thaddeus, or I shouldn't have underdecked Thaddeus. I should have kept him. That was dumb. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, I needed to keep Thaddeus. Silly me. So silly. 2 cards down. Let's discard that one. And next turn I can at least choose him to block. Let's discard that one and reach. We don't need that. All right, well, he'll probably just win on this turn, but, you know, we gave it our best. Yeah, this Soul Surfer definitely makes it tricky. Just too much to deal with. Yeah, he's going to be able to choose a blocker. I mean, I don't think he had either of the big two. Or at least he didn't have Son of God. I guess I didn't really look for a second coming. Well, even if I had gone first, he still would have had Herod the Great to Herod's Temple on turn 1. I guess, well, I had 3 woes, though. Oh, he had Harvest Time. Maybe I would have played it during battle, though. I wonder if he's just going to attack with Lazarus again for one. Or if he found a way to Matthew. Yeah, he has to get my Wanderer back. Yeah, that's not great. He's only going to get 4. It's not the worst. There's still a chance that I could just win on the next turn. So, just saying. Either way, it's not going to be a blowout. So we at least got 1 on the board. Okay, so if I did Joseph, choose repudiating. Okay, Joanna just a draw 2. That's not bad. We'll just give him Harvest, and we'll not give him a token. Oh, he's got Son of God. Does he have Second Coming as well? Yep. Add them both. Bummer. Oh, right, yeah, he did have Second Coming in his opening hand. And then he drew into the Son of God with that Joanna on draw 2. Man. All right, well, we didn't get there, unfortunately. Clearly. Yeah, going second hurt. The fact that Chad was playing Soul Surfer and not something with a little bit more forgiveness was definitely a bit of a bummer. This video doesn't come out for another week though, so maybe I'll try to surprise somebody with it in the meantime.
Okay, I have my 51 Foreign Wives deck now.
All right, sweet. By special request. All right, don't be too scared. I have my 100 card deck here.
No worries. It doesn't help for. Are you already recording?
Yeah.
It doesn't help for my hero control, but I don't
I mean, it
mind.
might actually. You
Never know with you.
might be surprised.
Oh, I didn't even roll or see the roll. 4.
What'd you get? You rolled a 4. Okay. I also rolled a 4. I rolled a 2. I need to get better at my Lackey dice rolls.
I know. Let's see. I think.
Wait, so did you roll again?
Oh,
Okay, there you go.
I will. I think I'll go first,
Okie doke.
and I will do no stars.
I too will do no stars.
Let's give you Hopper first, and then protect your hand and deck. Um, yeah, I'll disorient that.
Sure.
Where's my? Okay, you got the counter on there. Disoriented. All right, and disoriented's good to go. I'm gonna edit
My
note on mine.
souls.
Yep,
Sure.
disoriented on crowds.
Well, I'm just gonna ask for Dominish right away, I guess.
Add it.
Let's see what you got. See why you wanted to go first here. Okay, all right.
You know me, just wanted to draw.
Yeah, all right. Question is, do I want you to draw the, I think I'm just gonna pitch your second coming.
Wink. All right. I think I'll just go
See, now I'm making you think twice about
put
your
down
attacks and
Gabe.
shit.
I think I'm just gonna push with lone legions and
Sure.
draw legion singular and draw 2.
All right, so good to block.
Good to block.
I will not block, and you can have the hopper.
Hop it a hop. 7 in hand. I don't think I need to do anything else in past turn.
All right. Found a grumbled. I guess first let's do that. Do the star ability on Juan. Top deck a good dominant. Might need that one. Might want that one. I don't know. Let's do right on victoriously. And then grumbled. I'm going to send this card to the bottom. Draw that right on. All right, so that's actually kind of convenient. Put down John, and
You know my win cons. I have Angel Party and the Cross, and you chose 100 cards.
that's right. I kind of yeah, I forgot about that part. It's all right. It's not gonna not reveal to others. Wait, I want to go to your deck. Reveal to me. Playing David's Prayer. Kind of fortunate that I got that to play it in territory. Oh, man, I keep revealing it to the wrong person. Others. Oh, there we go. Okay. So here's where we do Foreign Wives. And then a Lost Soul. Let's do Lawless. And then I will put down the Victorious Being and go to battle. If that's cool with you.
Yeah, I just wanted to guess what you were doing. Yeah, go ahead.
You don't want to take a guess yet? All right, let's do reassuring. Let's go to Matthew and I will convert to Meek.
We showed the massive draw because I'm trying to do Queen T.
Right? Okay, nice. Got the lurking. Found that. All right, so 9. All right. Which is kind of what I needed here. So we'll.
It'd give a 100-card deck what they need.
Well, I just needed to be more than 5. Because then I'm going to play the Resurrection, and we're going to bring in John, bring in Bart, and bring in Simon.
So you didn't even need to search. You
Uh,
still want to play something first? Play a good gospel empty tomb hero from deck?
oh, right. Yeah, I suppose I can do that too. I didn't really care about that part of Resurrection, but let's see. Yeah, I guess. I mean, if I didn't have Simon, I could have searched for Joseph. And maybe I should have done that instead to keep lost soul abilities on, but it's fine. So we'll just grab Peter. I don't have any fortresses. So then John is going to reveal that right on.
Mm-hmm.
Toss the next. Draw 2. Then Bart will reveal that right on. And convert to Meek to play Lost Soul from my deck, I guess. Which, won't really matter because it's about to be negated by that guy, Simon. I'll just play Orphans. And then Simon will negate, we'll convert to Meek, and we'll choose Foreign Wives to block.
Mm-hmm. Then you slap the ride on and get the Evil Brigade count. What do you do with that?
Maybe. I think actually I'm just
I mean,
gonna.
it's your initiative.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I'm just gonna take my regular initiative here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do. Start off with Life Through Christ. Let's reveal the ride on again, and then go to. Let's just do Judas. It's banished. And then let's do. Or I guess then it's your initiative. Yeah.
Okay. And it's tossed.
Right. Yep. Next one's tossed. And it's the other ones I'm scared of.
Mm-mm-mm. Hate tossing that.
Okay. Then I will. Let's do. Yeah, I'm gonna play Sent 2x2. Go take a couple disciples. Let's take Philip and let's take James. And then that goes placed in territory. And I think I'm just going to use it now. So I'll discard it to. We'll add James. And let's do Philip. So James will reveal the ride on, protect from the next, and then can't top deck. Then I'll convert Philip to go grab Matthias.
Okay. Mine-ish.
Yep.
I will negate James. And capture Judas.
Yep. Makes sense. Um. Okay, so then I think I just do. Yeah. We'll play Blood of the Lamb to negate that, and then draw 3. Play the next, which will be. Let's do Blessings for Levi. Exchange it with an OT Clay enhancement, which will be Zadok Anoints Solomon. Take a good OT card.
The heck is that?
Let's get David. All right, back to your initiative.
And you are no longer protected from the next because I already played the next.
Right, yep.
Man, 15 cards in hand. I think I'll pass a niche.
All right. I will. This one. I'll play Bless the Nations. Band to Plenty of Humans. So we're going to do Meek James. Do Matthias. Going to do David. And Judas. So let's do Judas first. Draw. Well, I guess maybe David first. Yeah, let's do David first. We'll convert him to Meek. And grab Solomon's Dream. And then Judas, we'll draw 2. And Lost Souls negated. And Matthias, we'll convert him to Meek to bounce your. Just target wives, even she's protected. And then we'll reveal right on to look at my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, look at my top 10. I will take Lost Child Found. And I will not band with David. So back to your niche.
I'll pass back.
All right. So then let's do.
So the goal is to play Disciples of the Lamb over and over.
Yeah. Yep.
That is hilarious. I was looking at that card 2 days ago.
So yeah, so Solomon's Dream gets me to guess there's a couple options. I'm at 10 so far, so I mean we could just do can let you have a little bit of fun too. I'll grab Song of Moses. And then I get to draw 1 off Solomon's Dream. Would you like to play anything?
No.
Okay. I'll play Song of Moses. We can each go get 5 heroes. 2, 3.
An Angel Party might come into play.
All right, so I'll put 4 of them into play and then fit Seal Justice Seekers into my hand.
Okay, I'm gonna put Res Revealer down and these 4 up.
do these guys as meek too. All right, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 disciples in play. Is your initiative?
I could capture 3 of them, but I will.
That you could.
I will
It's all right.
not.
I've got
I'll be a
a
good
woes
sport.
to negate it. So
Okay, good.
I got ways. Don't worry. All right. So I will.
Did everyone know for the record that Wise was not in my main deck?
That's
For the
what.
video.
That's what I will. I will be sure to make a mention of that early on. That was. It was kind of meant to punish people who played wives in the main deck, but also like Emperor Claudius and Herod and Agrippa the First would work too, and those are common enough. But I mean, wives in reserve is, could maybe work if you bait him into it or like into it on turn 2 or something, but doesn't work for turn 1 and for like Moshi and David's Prayer stuff. So anyway, 5th seal has to go and get Spirit as a Dove. Then Spirit as a Dove goes to get.
For all people watching, this isn't just a Jaden deck. Anyone can do this. You just got to see the vision and make it.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think Noah Wagenknecht was. I think he was the first one to like realize the Disciples of the Lamb, Lost Child Found interaction. I don't know if he built the deck around it or.
I know Jared had talked about it. I looked at different ways because all the gospel you can just ban, and then you have Righteous Seeker. So I was looking at like David choose the blocker with disciples, and it was quickly turning into a large deck. And I didn't think to do 100. I was trying to keep it closer to where what if I could spit out disciples in a side battle, and just bounce.
Oh sure. Well, so for me, here I'll go ahead and play Son of God. Will rescue your disoriented. For me, it was Brian had asked me like, "Hey, have you considered trying to do the Rabshka's Arrogance style of deck, except with good enhancements, like with offense instead?" And I was like, I don't know if you can really like do enough damage with good enhancements. Plus, it's harder to set up because you have to do tribute. You don't have stocks of flax, so like to make sure that they have an evil character. But then I was like, oh, you don't really have to do enough damage. You could just win the game. But then they do have to have an evil character. And so I was considering setting it up with like Emperor Claudius or Foreign Wives and then Tribute, and then have to do, then you have to choose or you have to wait a turn so that they're not protected unless you have like Satan's Seed or something. But then I was like, well, enough people are playing Foreign Wives in the main deck that it might work. And that was my idea against Chad, because I was like, I know Chad, like he's the type of person to run Foreign Wives in the main deck. Then he played Soul Surfer against me, and just I almost got there. I think I got pretty close, but
aren't running the enhancements. So I had the Lurking to go to a Melechite Slave to go to Queen T to try to get deck discard on you.
Right.
But it's not fun to try to disrupt what you're doing.
Well, I mean, I would have been kind of interested to see if I could still get there after you did that.
Yeah, like a top 12 or something.
Yeah, let's see. If you did my hand, it probably would have been like 6 or something like that. Like I only had good brigades in my hand. There are no evil cards or strictly evil cards in the deck, other than Vain Philosophy, I think, is the only one.
There's no evil cards?
Nope. I'm just trying to.
Don't need them.
I'm all
That's hilarious.
So we'll go and Disciples of the Lamb to Son of God. That's the second use of Son of God this turn. And then
CJ, it's not just you. It's just you and a Lackey Grandpa.
So then we play Lost Child Found to bounce Disciples of the Lamb Solomon's Dream, and let's do.
And as long as you can create tokens,
Doesn't
which
really
you
matter.
can.
Well, I can't since Lost Souls are negated by Simon, so that makes it a little bit trickier. But I can just play Solomon's Dream.
Oh, you don't have a soul generator there?
Well, I've got Harvest Time.
Like in the deck? Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So do that. Can't draw, so we just play Harvest Time for all of them. I suppose
Game.
actually we do just in case, because if you have Humble, we just do like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do have Humble, so I don't want their abilities to go off.
They all go in, and that is GG's.
Also, I can only play Son of God 4 times. So
Oh, darn.
now I have to. So then I have to get the other Lost Soul the other way. So Disciples, Son of God for the 3rd time, Second Coming for the 4th time, and then we play 5th Seal to go and get we're not quite there yet, I guess, because I have to
No captured hero and
to go get Eternal Inheritance.
EI.
But now I have to, let's see. I need to play. Do I have a? Oh, okay. So I need to play Faith of Samuel, abandon Peter, convert him to Meek, so I have a green hero. So I can play Emmaus Road to play Delivered. So I can play Delivered to activate a new covenant.
And then just go straight into Ride On into EI.
Yep.
Beautiful.
It works more than just in theory.
It does.
But rarely. it takes a. I mean, having the David's victory and the opening, or I mean, I guess I got it on my draw 3 for my turn. That was kind of the ideal situation. I have ways to or basically based on how you block, I can get to it in battle. Where it's like, if you give me initiative with that, if I have Matthew, I'll try to keep him as purple if I can, so that I can play David's victory. Or, depending on what else I have, maybe I can abandon David, go get Ride On, and then I've got Moshi, and then Resurrection to grab Joseph to choose her to block. So there's a lot of ways to still get there, even if
get things going.
Don't get it, before.
You for sure have 2 turns. So the other thing is, theoretically, you're not blocking them, so they might not get their offense going. And if they're not getting a lot of drawing and stuff, then they might not get to their DOMs super quick.
Yeah.
But if you can get that 3rd, you're good.
And that was what got me against Chad, is that he actually had a pretty awkward draw where he didn't have a way to Matthew the entire game. So like turn 1, he came in with Lazarus to draw 1. Turn 2, he just attacked with Lazarus as Meek. And then turn 3, he attacked with Joanna to draw 2. And it was on that draw 2 from Joanna that he top decked his Son of God. And so he was able to play it, and I just wasn't able to get the pieces together through his Lost Souls, because he had turn 1 Harvest Time to, salty, complacent, all that stuff that this deck obviously does not like. But I think I might have been able to get there on the next turn. If I had played it a little bit differently, maybe I could have gotten there, because I should have just gotten Simon out early, attacked with him, negate Lost Souls, and then try to pull off the combo from there. But he wasn't playing Wives in the main deck, so I would have had to go to his Herod Agrippa the First. And I think that maybe could have worked as long as I dealt with Herod's Temple.
Herod's Temple, yep. So now you could say, when you beat people, you got .eld. Hold this .eld.
Yep. .eld with the LCF. I did put in the 2 copies of Lost Child Found so that I could still get there, even if I had to play Second Coming to get the combo set up.
Yeah, I figured that.
That was part of the reason for going for 100. It was like
Yep.
with 2
You do
copies of
need the
Lost Child
2.
Found, you just have a little more consistency because like part of the part of the setup to get Foreign Wives might involve playing a Lost Child Found to bounce some of your own heroes to regain initiative after playing
Yeah.
like David's Victory or Moshi or something. I was like, yeah, I think that's worth it. The
I
one,
love the 100 card double Lost Child.
yeah, yeah. I
Does
mean,
so
and the
much.
fact that I can, for one, bounce Disciples of the Lamb, but also bounce Solomon's Dream or Song of Moses or something to just set up the rest of what I need is pretty good. And that's how I think I should still have been able to get there even if you did Queen T, because
Mhm.
I was playing um played Wild Ox. So if you milled Wild Ox and a card that was essential like Eternal Inheritance or something, then maybe I wouldn't have been able to get there. And so maybe I actually should have kept Wild Ox in my hand because I underdecked that with my Shepherd or my Grumbled.
Wild Ox.
Um, it's the only card that lets you take a good enhancement from discard pile, like or just any generic good enhancement.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, I figured it'd be pretty important in case there's like a delivered that hits Eternal Inheritance or Disciples of the Lamb or something.
Yeah. Can you imagine losing to this and, like, missing Top Cut because of it? I'd be like, if I lost to this in Top Cut, I'd be like, "Alright, touche." But if I lost this to not even get to it, I'd be like, "You gotta be kidding me."
So that's part of why I wanted to play it against Chad in the finals, was because I was like, you know what, if I lose, I'm okay with that, especially because my win against Josh was kind of sketchy. And I was like, I don't really feel like, you know, I don't feel like I would deserve it as much if I won the Lackey Grand Prix unless I win it with this.
Yeah, yeah, that's
then,
fair.
then it would be sweet.
Oh, I
Uh,
like it. That's funny. We need more of this to where people can say. I mean, like I said, I played. So for people who didn't get to see this deck, this is a 50 card deck, but for this version, it's 51. And it's just
the Foreign
it's
Wives
hero
main deck
control.
version.
Yes, this is the for Jaden combo, but it is a 51, or it's a 50 card hero control deck with just Job's defense, which a lot of people just don't know what it does. And I've kind of said this
And
defense is very good.
we could play a legit game now if you have time. You want to?
Yeah, I have time.